Hi, this is recorded in Los Angeles, and when you hear this or watch this, I'll be in Toronto. Today I'm going to talk about soul ties. I did not know about soul ties until much later in my faith walk. I love attending charismatic churches where there are no set lexicons. In mainstream churches like the Episcopal Church, readings from the Bible are set for each Sunday of the church year, and the preachers preach from these set lessons. In a charismatic church, sermons and readings from the Bible are not set, and it is up to the discretion of the preacher. Good preachers are those who could mine the Bible for obscure and yet important passages in the Bible to preach on. The lesson on soul ties was not a sermon, but it was from a fellow church attendee. I was going through a divorce, and she prayed that I would sever soul ties with my soon-to-be ex. As Gary Greenwald in his book Seductions Exposed, his definition of a soul tie is: a soul tie is the knitting together of two souls that can either bring tremendous destruction when made with the wrong person, or important assistance if made with the right person. And we read of a few good soul ties in the Bible. 1 Samuel 18 verse 1 says, "And it came to pass, when David had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan," which is Saul's son, "was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul." And we know of the story of David and Jonathan, how their friendship and love for each other endured till the end of Jonathan's life. And Jonathan would risk his father's displeasure to warn David of the impending danger that Saul is coming after him. Also in the book of Ruth, the closeness of Ruth with her daughter-in-law Naomi is also extolled. In soul ties, there is very deep connection. It is quite like someone saying, "We are soul mates." I always cringe when I hear the word soulmates. Definitely in a carnal and worldly sense, we should walk away before soul ties are formed, because they can be destructive soul ties. In Genesis 2:24, God proposed, "Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall be one flesh." Here, in such an intimate setting, soul ties are formed. If it is an unequal union, this kind of soul ties can be destructive and devastating. In Genesis 34, verses 1-3, gives us an illustration of how fornication and immorality form soul ties. We hear of the story of Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her, in other words, he raped her, and lay with her and defiled her. And his soul claved unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. Actually, Shechem did not love Dinah. After raping her, he lusted for her because he had become soulishly tied to her, and his soul longed for her. Even through the defilement of rape, their souls have become tied together. Genesis 34:8, we continue with the story, makes this clear as Hamor, Shechem's father, approached Jacob, Dinah's father, and Hamor communed with them, saying, "The soul of my son, Shechem, longeth for your daughter. I pray you give her to him as wife." A woman too, after sexual intimacy, could form the same kind of soul ties. Sexual involvement can form such entangling tentacle of soul ties that it is extremely difficult to break off. Paul in 1 Corinthians 6 verse 18 warns, "Flee sexual immorality." Flee, run away, walk away. Proverbs 5 verses 20 to 23. "Why be captivated, my son, with an immoral woman? An immoral man is held captive by his own sins. They are ropes that catch and hold him." Sexual immorality causes destructive soul ties to be formed. It will bind you, enslave you, and it works for women too. We have heard of stories of women returning to their abusive husbands or boyfriends, or even to their rapists. But when we catch the news of celebrities today jumping from one man's bed to another like nothing is the matter, we watch movies where there's so much casual sex. There is currently so much publicity of young women in the workplace being preyed upon by their powerful married bosses. We remember our own heartache when we've been spun by the guys we had crushes on. We remember the pain of severing those soul ties. There's a disconnect here that the world would view sex in such a casual manner, but in reality, it's not that way. There is in the severing, soul ties are being formed, and in the severing of these soul ties, it's long and painful. So trust the word of God. It is out of love to protect you. The soul tie formed through the sexual union of marriage is unique. Man was created to have this bond with only one person. God has made the sexual union to be whole being to whole being, spirit to spirit, soul to soul, and body to body. This union is the reason marriage is such a wonderful covenant. And in learning of this, we can relate to our past experiences of the pain of unrequited love, especially if you've lived such a long time as I have. But understand from this point of view that we should heed the warning of Paul, flee sexual immorality. And the only way that sex is enjoyed and trusted is when a woman feels trusted and there is a covenant relationship as in a marriage. And looking through some of my old notes, I noticed that, I'm reminded of soul ties. And I never knew until quite recently of it. And it's a very important lesson. I hope that we will take away something from this